Greetings of the day, children. A very warm welcome to everyone here for the virtual session of science. So let us see what are we going to do in this session. We are going to start with a new chapter, that is the last chapter for the portion to get completed for your PA2 assessment. As the portion given to you all, this is the last chapter we need to finish before your PA2, and this is a very short chapter and a simple chapter, and we have already started this in the Zoom session, as you all know, and this session we will continue with the chapter. I hope you all are maintaining your notebook, so, and you all have already written the index for the new chapter. Write the date of the session, that is the Zoom session when we have started the chapter. That will be the date of the chapter when we had begun with the this new chapter, weather, climate, adaptation of animals of climate. So this is the name of the chapter, weather, climate and adaptation of animals. We are, as the name suggests, we are going to learn about weather, we are going to learn about the climate, and we are going to see the adaptation of the various animals to the given climate, and different region of the world and different region on the earth, how they get adapted due to changes in the climate. So I hope you all are writing all the points in your notebook, children, and the Zoom session notes you all have taken down in your notebook, and you all have already taken a fresh page to write down this title, chapter weather, climate and adaptation of animals. So let's get started for the day. Let us see climate and adaptation. What does that mean? As you all have already learned in this previous session, in the Zoom session, what is a climate. So let us see what is climate and adaptation. The climate of a place can affect the living organism of that area. The animals living in a particular region adapt themselves so they can survive the weather conditions of that place. The features and habitats of the animals start to change as per the climate of the place. So as you all have seen, how the climate changes in every region on this planet, in different countries, different places have different climates, and it keeps changing every year. So how animals will survive, how they will adapt themselves to the given climate, because they have to survive. If they will not survive, they will extinct. So naturally they get adapted to certain climates, very harsh climates, moderate climate. So all that climate you have seen, some places on the earth you have very cold region, some places very hot and dry, some places very humid and hot. So all that different factors which is there, which affect climate, animal has to adapt themselves to that given climate, otherwise they will die and soon they will extinct. So this is how climate and adaptation happens, because the animals have to adapt themselves to the given climate, and a particular region or particular adaptation of animals at a certain region on earth will get adapted, and if you displace the animal from that place, the animal will not be able to survive, because the animal has got adapted to that certain climate. Hot and dry region, humid, hot and humid places, all that you have variation in the climatic condition due to various factors which you have learned in the previous session, children. So please take this down in your notebook, children. Here you can see just a polar region. You see you have all these countries lying in the polar region where it's extreme cold. Alaska, Canada, Greenland, Iceland, Norway, Sweden, Finland. So all these have a very cold climatic condition. This is in the polar region of the earth. Just have a look at this. So you should be able to identify different region on the earth, and you should know what kind of climatic condition exists over there. Here you have some notes to write in your book. First point, the area of the earth that surrounds the North Pole and South Pole is called the polar region. You must have learned this in geography, children. Next point, the climate of the polar region is extremely cold throughout the year and receives heavy snow. See, the climatic condition is very harsh over here, it's extreme cold. The sun does not rise for 6 months of the year in the polar region, and then it stays up for the next 6 months. So this kind of condition, you can see the climatic condition. The temperature in the polar region can be as low as minus 37 degrees Celsius. It is minus 37 degrees Celsius, children. So, fifth point, most common animals found in these regions are polar bears and penguins. Other animals that can be found in polar areas are fishes, birds, oxen, musk, reindeers, fox, whales and seals. So, different type of adaptation for this kind of region where you have extreme cold climate. So this is called as adaptation, because these are the animals which will be able to survive because they get adapted to such harsh cold climate, and they have adapted themselves so that they can survive easily in these places. You have to write down all these points in your notebook, children, extremely important. So let us see the animals in polar region. Just have a look at this image here. Leopard seal, penguin, Arctic wolf, walrus, Arctic fox, polar bear. So physically their body is adapted to such region where they can withstand, they can bear such cold climatic condition. And if you take any animals from the tropical region and you put them in the polar region, they will not survive, because these are the animals, they get adapted to such places. Their body response is like that, the body is structured like that by the nature, and they themselves over the years they modify as per the climatic condition of that place, and they survive, they reproduce, they grow in number so that they will not extinct. I hope this is clear. So that is adaptation. So now here you will see polar bear, how it get adapted to such a cold, harsh climatic condition. What are the features of the body of the polar bear which help the polar bear to survive in such cold climatic condition? So the white fur is not easily visible in the snowy white background. So because of this, what happened? Its predator and prey are unable to see it. Then it has a very strong sense of smell. It helps the bear to locate and catch its prey. It has long, curved and sharp claws. This helps to walk on ice. Next, it has a layer of fat under its skin. This fat insulates its body from cold and keep it warm. And then it has 2 thick layers of fur. This keep it warm in cold weather. So all these features, the body features, the characteristic of the body helps the polar bear to get adapted in polar region. You have to write down this in point-wise, children. Or you can make this semicircle, or you can make this kind of diagram, and you can put some elongated circles. You can see the elliptical circle. You just put some points over there. That way you can also write, or you can write point wise. Adaptation of polar bear, extremely important. So if you keep any animals which is not belonging to the polar region, the animal will not survive. Can you think of camels surviving in polar region? Camels stay in the Rajasthan, you know, it's a very hot, dry region where they have to adapt themselves accordingly. So camel, if you shift them to polar region, they will not be able to survive. So adaptation of the camel is different, and adaptation of polar bear is different. That is adaptation. The adaptation is actually the characteristic of the body which is being modified by the nature or by the animal themselves to survive in the given climatic condition. That is adaptation. Then you will see penguin. Your penguin get adapted to the cold region. There are some features of the body which help penguin to get adapted to the cold region. In snowy region, they dive easily. Heavy solid bones, they have pair of wings to propel forward in water, then they have a streamlined body, then waterproof feather they have. Streamlined body help them to reduce resistance when they are in water. Then they have waterproof feather to swim faster in the water. Then they breathe, they have special blood and muscle tissues, and they have increasing move of oxygen when they breathe, because during when they stay in water. All these are adaptation. They eat, their diet is squids and fish. Protection, they move in group, guard around the eggs, swim in zigzag through the water. Then you can see on the screen over here the warmth they get because of the layer of overlapping feather coated with oil. Then they have pockets of air underneath their feathers which holds the heat, and a pair of wings help them to propel forward in the water. All this you can show a diagrammatic representation like that. Just put a name penguin and draw this in your notebook. It will be very helpful for you to recap this when you want to learn this, or you need to understand how penguin get adapted to the cold harsh climate, or when how they stay in water. All these adaptation you can just put in the form of flow chart or a concept map. Just put it in the way it is shown in your notebook, children. It will be very helpful to you all. I hope you will do that, children. So we will go for migratory birds in the polar region. So we need to learn about birds also in the polar region. Since we are learning about the polar region, we have seen some animals like polar bear, we have seen penguins. Now we will see some migratory birds. The birds, in order to protect themselves from cold weather of the winters in the polar region, often migrate from this area to warmer places. So to protect themselves from cold, very extreme cold weather of this winter, the polar region, they migrate because they can fly. So nature has given them provision to fly, so they can migrate when it becomes extreme cold in the polar region. They then return back after the winter season. For example, the Siberian crane migrates to India in Rajasthan, Haryana, and some northeast region during the winter season in Siberia. So when there is a extreme cold in Siberia, the Siberian crane will migrate to India, and they will migrate in Rajasthan, Haryana, and some northeast region in India. These birds that migrate to different places during change in weather are often called migratory birds. So there are many birds who migrate during extreme climate so that they can protect themselves. They go to some region, some part of the world where they can adapt themselves in that climate for that particular time, and then they go back to their original places. This is the provision of the nature given to them. They can travel, use instances of 15,000 kilometer to protect themselves from the extremely cold environment. So they can travel 15,000 kilometer. You can imagine how much they can travel to protect themselves from extreme cold. And such birds migrate to the same places every year. So once they come to Rajasthan, then again in the next winter they will come back to Rajasthan. This is how they survive. Migratory birds fly very high so that the heat generated by the flight wings can be disposed of in the cold conditions. The migratory birds have a sense of direction so that they can travel to the same place every time. See how much sense they have. Naturally, they are so intelligent. The migratory birds also use landmarks or follow the direction of the sun and stars to migrate. Can you imagine this? And some birds also use the magnetic field of the earth and find direction. Can you believe this, children? Yes. Some birds, they can use the magnetic field of the earth and find directions because the nature has given them that much of reasoning power. Apart from birds, fishes, insects, and mammals also migrate. It is just a move from all these living organisms to survive and to grow in number so that they will not get extinct. Just for the survival, there are many other animals, fishes, and birds and insects. They do migrate. So this is the concept you need to understand, why animals and birds show migration, because migration helps them to survive. Since you have very harsh climatic conditions, so they migrate and then they go back to their original place once the climatic condition becomes moderate, and then they survive. So this is Siberian crane. You must have seen this, children. This bird has a long leg, and they are the migratory birds. Just have a look at Siberian crane, and you must have seen them in numbers, and you must have seen them during winter at the seashore. I hope this is very clear with you all, children. So here we come to an end of the session. I hope the session was interesting to you all, children, isn't it? And I'm very much hopeful you all are making down all the important points in your notebook. Please do write all the points, children, and please follow the instruction given in the video sessions. Thank you, children, and have a wonderful day.